Battlefield 5's practice range has been released as part of the Overture Tides of War. I'm going to be comparing and contrasting Battlefield 5's practice range to Battlefield 4's practice range. And I'm going to be honest, it's pretty disappointing. One of the most annoying aspects of Battlefield 5's practice range is it is incredibly slow to get around. They have these teleport stations, but if you're in the aiming board area or the angle training area, you either have to run to one of the other ones. It's very cumbersome. And Battlefield 4, it's much easier. You know, it's when you're at the respawn menu, it's almost, what is it like? It's like a conquest spawn points. So I can pick where to spawn. It's very fast, very intuitive. Why would they not have it like this? I mean, the practice range is built off the Hamada map. I assume it would be easy to just make spawn points like a conquest map. Why do you have all this teleportation and running around stuff? If you wanted to say, let's say you're at the little driving motor trial. If you want to go to the gun range, you're going to have to restart the practice range. It's very cumbersome. It's very slow. It's very annoying. Next annoying thing, you can't customize your guns or your vehicles. You can't even select your kit. I remember when I got to the gun range, I was like, there's no way it doesn't let me. Oh, I see a customize button. That's for the visual customization, which, by the way, you can't even do that. In Battlefield 4's practice range, let's say you wanted to test out different attachments, see how they affected the weapon. You could do that very easily, very quick. Why is that not in the Battlefield 5 practice range? Let's say you want to get in a tank, you can change it around. You can't do that in Battlefield 5. In fact, you only can choose 2 planes and 2 tanks, and you can't customize them, and you only have those 2 different variations. I don't know the names of the tanks and planes, but it's like the mobile AA and then some other tank, and then you have like a fighter jet and a bomber. In Battlefield 4, you could choose any vehicle. In addition to that, the ground targets, they don't take damage like real enemies, similar to in Battlefield 4's practice range. In Battlefield 4, you can easily visualize exactly how far your gun goes from, say, a 4-hit kill to a 5-hit kill. Now, I know you can look those statistics up and be like, oh, 45 meters. It's way better to get a in-game visualization of what that looks like. In Battlefield 5, gun targets they either go down in 1 hit or they don't go down at all. And when you're in the firing range, your only distance options are 25, 50, and 100 meters. And again, you can't tell what your damage drop-off is like because the targets, it's some sort of mini-game to see how many headshots or body shots you can get. It's very absurd. Looking at all this, it doesn't make sense to me because it's very simple why people enjoyed the practice range in Battlefield 4. You could test out different attachment setups, different vehicle setups, get used to different vehicle controls. I cannot think of a reason. Okay, I'll be honest. At this point, I have a board up with different pictures, like trying to figure out like how this occurred. I got my tinfoil hat on. Here are the 2 most likely options. 1, this is less likely I think, but hear me out. They purposely made the practice range bad so they can use it as PR when they change it and be like, the community gave feedback and said they wanted the practice range to be more like the Battlefield 4 practice range. DICE EA is a company for gamers, by gamers. It's sort of that like new Coke, classic Coke thing. They purposely put out something bad, and then when people are like, I don't like this, they change it and be like, hey, we listened, we care. That sounds very far-fetched, but hear me out. they said they weren't going to have rush in the game, and it's like, well, it's very difficult, you know, make maps for rush, and we don't want to force game modes onto certain maps. And then it turns out they're going to have rush back in a Tides of War. I suspect they're going to keep rush after they introduce it, and plenty of the, you know, the players who love rush, and me included, are going to be like, man, they listen to us. Awesome. And it's like, okay, they added, there's the new Coke, and then they put the classic Coke in, and you're being fooled. That's a little far-fetched though. I know, it's kind of, doesn't seem that likely. Here's the more likely scenario. DICE have lost their way, and they just, what they think players want and what we actually want, they don't know. You know, they add all these little, dude, wouldn't it be cool if like there's like these little teleport stations and like you're like, there's a little road killing course where like the little targets like wave like, whoa dude, don't get, and then you kill them, and it's like, what? I don't know if it's because DICE is spread thin by they have to make Battlefront and then the Battlefield games, and then it's just, but you can definitely tell Battlefield games, it has a very different tone and a different feeling, and it's kind of not what I would prefer. And this practice range for Battlefield 5 really symbolizes where DICE is at. They have a lot of very flashy things. It has a little cutscene, the announcer, there's all the teleportation and the roadkill trial and the little, you know, there's some other trial where you're shooting guns and it's like, I don't know, you're trying to go through the rounds. But it's more cumbersome. It could be so much better if they made it more user-friendly and more refined, and they added actual useful aspects to the practice range. But there are good things about the Battlefield 5 practice range. I will admit that the aiming board and the angle training section of the gun range can be fairly useful. However, I don't like that with the aiming board you can't get out of that little red circle. You have to be very close to the aiming board. I would prefer if you could get a little further away. And the angle training, you need to have auto rotation turned off for that to be useful, because with auto rotation on, you can insta-lock to the targets, and sometimes you insta-lock to invisible air. And one really annoying thing about that is the option to turn off auto rotation cannot be accessed in the start menu while you are in the practice range. You have to exit out and go to the main menus to change that. Another good part of the Battlefield 5 practice range is when you're using either the mobile AA or a aircraft, you have actual planes to fight against rather than the slow flying UAV drones in Battlefield 4. I do like that the planes, you know, you have actual targets,